Welcome to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network with your hostess, Jen Josie. Join like-minded real estate investors and accelerate your business towards greatness. You will hear step-by-step strategies for success, interviews with real estate rock stars, and we will dig deep into past projects where we bear it all, including the good, the bad, and some just plain ugly. So get excited. Here's the bestower of badassery herself, the real Jen Josie. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm Jen Josie, creator of RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Whoop, whoop. On today's episode, we have a guest that will be sharing their badassery. But before we begin, here's today's badassery bestowment, my little badass gift to you. Today's topic is leveraging opportunity zones for maximum returns. Opportunity zones offer a unique and potentially lucrative avenue for real estate investors. Established by the Tax Cuts and Job Act of 2017, these designated areas are aimed at spurring economic development and job creation in distressed communities. Here are 4 reasons how opportunity zones can benefit your investment strategy. Number 1, tax incentives. One of the most significant benefits of investing in opportunity zones is the array of tax incentives. Investors can defer capital gains taxes until 2026 by reinvesting them in qualified opportunity funds. Additionally, and this is huge, if the investment is held for at least 10 years, any appreciation in the opportunity zone investment is exempt from capital gains taxes. Number 2, potential for high returns. These zones are typically in areas targeted for revitalization, meaning there can be significant appreciation potential as the area develops. Early investments can yield substantial returns as local economies improve and property values rise. Number 3, social impact. Investing in opportunity zones isn't just about financial gain. It's also about contributing to community development. Your investment can help stimulate economic growth, create jobs, and improve living conditions in underserved areas, making a positive social impact. Number 4, diverse investment opportunities. Opportunity zones offer a wide range of investment possibilities, from residential and commercial real estate to new businesses and infrastructure projects. This diversity allows investors to tailor their investments to specific interests and expertise. So, take the time to research and understand the specific opportunity zones that align with your investment goals. Working with local developers and community leaders can also provide valuable insights and enhance the success of your investments. By leveraging opportunity zones, you can achieve impressive financial returns while contributing to meaningful economic and social development. It's a win-win for everyone. Now, on to today's episode of the Real Estate Investor Growth Network podcast. We have with us Ashley Perez. Ashley is an unstoppable force in the world of entrepreneurship and real estate. After several years in other industries, Ashley's dynamic career took an exciting turn in 2022 when she ventured into real estate. Her recent acquisition of an RV park in Inverness, Florida, is just one highlight of a rapidly growing $2.5 million real estate portfolio. Always looking forward, Ashley's now launching an acquisitions department and building a personal brand dedicated to guiding others into the RV park commercial investment. It's my pleasure to have her on the show, so welcome, Ashley Perez.
Thank you. Thank you, Jen.
Happy to have you.
What an awesome intro. That was great.
Why, thank you. Those opportunity zones. I mean, there's so much opportunity in those. And it's
Yeah,
just,
I love that.
yeah, it's like just specific areas. And I wasn't sure if it tied into RV parks or not, but we will keep going there. But I want to get a
It
little.
does actually.
Does it?
No,
Okay.
it does because I think that is a part of one of the areas in which people can't figure out where RV park properties are best.
Right.
And they are best in the opportunity zones. And specifically for myself, where I'm investing in Florida, I know where the government has injected millions of dollars of funds into certain areas of Florida that are revitalizing themselves, that are up and coming. And if not the property designated strictly an opportunity zone for you to develop it the way that you want, but still at least the entire geographical area is still an opportunity zone for even the existing businesses, to take advantage of the benefits that they will have, not only for the funding that they've injected, but the tax benefits,
It's
all
huge.
Yes.
Rabbit hole for us to go down there. But I want to hear, what other businesses were you involved with before you got involved with real estate?
Okay. Yeah. So I have two other businesses and I fell into them haphazardly, not as the way that I got into real estate, which was a direction, a passion. I love talking about real estate, but that's not how I started. I didn't start that way. I found my very first 1099 job on purpose in the summer of my graduating year of college because I wanted to make money. And I was headed down a very long path of education. I wanted to be a lawyer. And so, with knowing that that was going to be my next couple of years, no matter what, I still had like this burning desire to want to make money. Like I was tired of, being a poor college kid needing to pick up all these ends jobs. But it was like, okay, well, if I'm going to pick up an odds end job, let it be something where I can make some quick cash. And so it was the summer of my graduating year. I was going to take an online course to finish that year out. And I tried this job up north with my boyfriend because my boyfriend's family was selling merchant services. And I don't know if you know what merchant services is.
No clue.
But it is the service of allowing businesses to accept credit cards from their customers.
Oh, okay.
So think of Stripe. Stripe is a service that allows businesses to accept credit cards from their customers and clients. So there is a sales department dedicated to going out and selling businesses on your service. And so we did that and I made a residual income. And so for 3 years, I went door to door, business to business, selling. Yeah. I never went back to college, didn't finish those 3 credits in college. Nope. Just realized that there was more of an opportunity down this route, more freedom, time freedom, opportunity for financial freedom. I never went back to this W-2. And then with having built up a portfolio of businesses that were now, using my service, some of them wanted other products. And so specifically the restaurants, they wanted the software that they could put in their orders and send back to the kitchen. Right. And so that was another high ticket item. So we added that and started our first business, helping restaurants set up their software, accept the credit cards, train them on it. And that's been in business for the last 10 years. And I'm super proud of that.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it just happened. And it was just, what I knew needed to get done for that time in order for me to take me to different places. And so that's what then also spawned the second business, and that's in residential solar. But again, nothing that really kind of
fueled the fire. Yes.
Oh, no. But did the necessary steps in order for me to finally figure it out just a couple of years ago, like what Ashley was going to do. Now I had the time, I've had the experience, what is that Ashley's next journey? And that came after having children, where I get to sit with myself for a couple of months, really evaluating life and what that's going to take out of me. But yeah, I've been a business owner for the last 10 full years, been in sales for the last 13, and really building out a business now in real estate that I'm tremendously excited about.
Well, I'm excited to hear all about it, but let's talk briefly about the fact that you are a mom and you have two beautiful young men there with you. And that's the beauty of being in real estate, is the flexibility of it. And you can do a podcast in the middle of the afternoon and have your boys running around, etc. So if we hear them, it's perfectly fine. That's what moms do. So I'm just stating because I've already gotten to meet them, but they are lovely young men. And in case we hear them in the background, but that's perfect. That's what moms and women do. So good for you. So let's get into the whole RV business. Let's break it down, because I have so many questions for you. Because before we hit record, I'm like, can you do this? Can you do that? And I want to know about this. And I have this goal. And so anyway, you're like, who is this person interviewing me? But Ashley, let's break down the basics here. First of all, what is an RV park? Like, let's go super basic. What does that mean? What does an RV park look like?
I love that question, because RV park and mobile home gets used interchangeably, and they truly are separate asset classes. An RV park is a recreational vehicle, super, super basic. That is the definition of the abbreviation, recreational vehicle. And when you have an RV park that hosts the RVs, you are a recreational short-term business where you are offering activities for your guests to come back and vacation at. And that's different than a mobile home park, where that's going to be for long-term tenants, people that are going to be bringing in their home for a long-term stay.
So that was my next question, was RV parks. Can you have an RV park that is for residents, like people actually live in the RV, or the type of parks so that's a possibility, but your RV parks, it's just for travelers. You don't have people staying there. Like, well, what's an average stay for someone who's traveling through and staying at your park?
Great question.
A couple questions there. Sorry, I loaded them in there.
Yeah, great question. There is a legal way of getting it done, which means, part of your property can be zoned and designated for a long-term stay. And that would probably be a different area separate from, your short-term stayers. But then even the workaround for a short-term property to have long-term guests is that they just continue to book at a 6-month interval.
Oh, okay.
Reservation.
Yeah.
It's really a reservation.
And do they do they have to pull out of one parking spot and go into the next one? I've heard that too.
I have not made anyone do that. And it could be different from state to state, county to county. Very important to know, the rules and regulations and of how that should work. And in Florida, my lawyer told me that it's just as long as I don't have a reservation that's longer than 6 months, and then they would just need to renew if they plan on staying there again.
And what's the average that one will stay while they're traveling through?
So what's funny is the majority of our park are actually longer term people.
Really?
They're staying for the majority of who we have now. We do have guests that are from Canada. They actually just left recently, and they'll be back in a couple of weeks. We do get people that'll come in for a week or 2 weeks, and those will be because there's events local in the area. But for the majority of people right now, because of affordability, it is the better, or the majority of our guests at the park, and the better option for the area at the moment.
Okay.
So, and you want to accept that, right? You want to be able to have that option for people. Just just regulating the fact to make sure to keep yourself in a scenario where you have the rights to remove someone is just a better case for yourself, when you are operating the property. If you
Okay.
intended that.
This is such good information. So what's required when you're out there acquiring, are you buying a established RV park? Are you buying land and creating an RV park? How does that all work? Like, what's required? I'm assuming there's hookup for electric. I don't know, because I know in mobile home parks, you have to have septics or set up to connected to city sewer, et cetera. So how does that happen? I mean, I'm just thinking of the movie where he says, shitter's full, excuse my French with your two boys in the room, but shitter's full, and he dumps it into the gutter or whatever, or in the street. But what is needed to have and call it an RV park? The infrastructure.
Well, the infrastructure is going to depend on where the property is. You're only going to be able to connect to city utilities easily if you are closer to the city limits. And I always tell everyone who are looking for RV parks, they're trying to find the best case scenario. And it's like, guys, there's only a handful of these RV parks really in reality of compared to single family homes, you don't really have a lot of options here. So to limit yourself to only finding utilities on city on the city is not likely. You are likely going to find a park that is going to be on septic, that is going to be on well. Don't steer away from it. Don't shy away from doing that, because it is the environment that you're in when you're on a campground. Exactly. Okay. It's wonderful to have city utilities. Don't get me wrong. That would be ideal. But the likelihood of you finding, city utilities and city water, city sewer is not high in the RV space.
Because most people traveling, right, in RVs, they want to stay in more picturesque places, and they're a little off the beaten path, shall we say. So there's not going to be those infrastructures already there. So, all right.
No. So don't do that. If you have that, right? If it is an existing property that you're looking at, which most people tend to always think, oh my God, the easiest way would just be to develop. And theoretically, I can see this. However, in actuality, it is easier to buy an existing park that is already generating or potentially generating a good amount of income. And now you're just coming in and only have to really put into your time and money into just repairing or renovating, as opposed to developing something brand new, which is not generating any income, right, which is going to require a whole lot more cash and time to get you to a finally built state. So I say the best route is to always look for something that's existing. And when you're doing that, you will likely have, septic and well. You just need to get those inspected, and they're regularly treated. The septic, the shitter's full. definitely happens. Okay. Definitely happens, as often as the park is being used, and we'll just need to get pumped, need to get inspected. The well gets treated every single month. You've got a service that comes in to do this for you. It's not that expensive. Depending on your park size, you could be looking at $150 to $300 a month, and sometimes the well is three parts. There's the filter, there's the thing that sucks it up, and then there's the actual well,
pump.
There's the pump. There's the pump, there's the filter, there's the pump. Right? So I just had to replace my well pump, and it was a $3,000 expense. In total, it all between the new pump, the labor, the time, and it was an emergency. The park lost its water on a Sunday. Okay. On a Sunday. And these guys were so awesome. they were there within hours. Especially when I tell them the urgency, this is an active business. We have people without water right now. So I did have to pay, an expedited fee. So it is a little bit on the higher end, but now I don't have to really have a worry of this pump for the next 5 to 7 years.
So,
and that's standard.
Yes. And by the way, I've had to fix a well at one of our rental properties. No fun. Definitely didn't take a day. I'll tell you that. So how many RVs can hook up to one well and one septic?
Okay, good question. That's going to be dependent on the size of these things. And it's also going to be dependent on like the amount of horsepower you want it to pump out. So that's going to depend on the quality, the type, but on average, you can look at something on the smaller end that can cover probably about 3 RV sites to as many as 5, 6, depending on the size of these things. I have one well that is servicing an entire park of 30 sites, a public bathroom, shower, rec hall, and office. So, in a much larger scale, when you're looking at, 100 sites, you're likely looking at 2 wells, a septic tank for every 3 to 5 sites. And the cost to build out these things, are also not very expensive in the grand scheme of things, but still take time for designing and permitting approval. And when you're looking to develop an RV park, you need a specific architect for that. You need a specific planner who understands, the dimensions of how far each site has to be from one another. So again, the better route to go is an existing park.
Right.
So it would be lovely to build out something brand new.
And can I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm so excited to hear all this stuff. I have so many questions. So is it common to find, say, an old mobile home park and then convert that into an RV park?
You can try that, so when you look at your, you've got to look at multiple sites, but property appraisers, office website, so that you can use that, what the current land use is, versus what the proposed use could or will be. So there just takes a little bit of research to, make sure that you can go through that conversion.
Does it change? Like, I just forgot the word. Oh my goodness. When you go from commercial to residential, could that be it? Or zoning?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
No, exactly. That's exactly the case. There's going to be and that's why you've got to go through this process, is because sometimes the county, they want a certain number of residential sites, and that's what's going to happen. In one area that I was looking at before I had acquired this one, recently, there was a specific county, and I forget the county. And if I knew the county off the top of my head, I'd definitely share it. There's nothing specific about this county, but it is a reminder for you that this is important for you to do this research, because in this specific county, although there was an RV park for sale, that's how they were listing it as potential RV park for sale. The county had a moratorium on RVs. So if you bought it with the anticipation that you were going to build an RV site, you would have to wait until that moratorium got lifted before you could even start these plans.
Wow, that is crazy.
Yeah.
All right. So super important question here. How do you finance an RV park?
Love it. So that was, as a new investor, the big money question.
Yes.
That is like, oh my gosh, the money part. And when I was trying to figure this all out, and everyone that I kept coming across, most of the people will tell you the conventional route. And I tried this, using my debt, using my other businesses, trying all of these ways. And it just never really worked out for me on the conventional way, because also when I was going through this, you have to have taxes and all these things done. So just so much requirements going that route until I learned the creative finance way. And I was able to close on this park on seller finance. And through one of our mutual friends, Amy Majuri, she tells me about how you can raise this capital from individual people.
Right.
Which was like a mind blown to me. So I'm like, oh, so we're going to treat the people like the banks. So when I figured out that I could at least try to get under seller finance, and if I could, then I could raise the money from private individuals. And if I didn't, I'd still be able to go the conventional route. Then I was trying my shots on all those cylinders first. And I always will attempt seller finance because I really think it's a win-win for all of the parties. I get why people would want to just take out, to just take all cash, close on escrow, be gone with it. I completely understand this, but it is an investment for somebody that is selling to take on that loan, to take on that lien. I think it's a smart, in my opinion, I think it's a smart business decision because you technically can still, you're collateralizing the property. It could be yours still. You're getting interest on this. You're not waiting for the banks to even approve, this whole sale. Okay, you can approve this sale if you like these terms, and we can be protected on the back end legally in all these different ways. Like this really does make sense. So I do make the best offers I could make it for the seller, for the seller for a seller finance offer. I make it really appealing for them. And then if not, I will try the cash route. And if I have to go the cash route, then I will try to raise this capital. And what's cool about raising the capital is this is a mindset shift. You are not raising in a seller finance situation. I'm sorry about this. Well, not really. Because in a conventional route, you're only raising the down payment, the closing costs, and then your repairs. So it's not, if you're getting a loan, however you're getting it, you're not paying all $1 million. You're paying $200,000, the down payment, plus the extra closing costs, and then your repairs. So you really have to just think of it like, okay, it's 200,000 and then a couple for closing and then another 300,000. So it's like 500,000 I'm raising here. That changes your mindset of thinking, oh my God, I got to raise $1.5 million. So when I learned that from Amy Majuri, I actually did try to close out this guy and pay him all cash. That's what he wanted. When I presented my seller finance, the lawyer, the accountant, and the broker were like, you'd be dumb not to take this deal. But then he got hurt on property. He was like, I just want to be done. So, okay, I went a hard money route. I think hard money is another, tool to use if you can. Very expensive though. Puts a little bit of pressure, that you necessarily wouldn't have if you were to find another way to finance the property. But went the hard money route, and the hard money lender backed out 3 days before closing. 3 days before closing, because I was really trying to do this deal like 100% no money out of pocket from me. So I brought in a second lien to fund the renovation. So the hard money was funding the purchase. She would fund the renovation. And before I had done this, I had asked them, hey, just wanted to find out if you guys were going to be okay with a second lien. The woman said, I don't see that as a problem. Just let us know. So 3 days before closing, my lawyer said, let me get in touch with their lawyer so I can let them know about this other lender. And when they find out, they said, I think this is going to kill the deal for us. Because what skin in the game do you have?
Right.
And I'm like, dude, what skin in the game do I have? I flew my property manager is my stepdad, who's no longer my stepdad. My mom and him got divorced a year later. And when I was thinking of who would help me out at this property, I'm thinking of, my whole Rolodex of people that I know in my life that would be good as a property manager as an RV park. And my last conversation with my stepdad was about him telling me how his dream was to get back down to Florida. And he was a maintenance guy at a hospital. So I'm like, oh my God, this would be the perfect scenario because the sale of the property came with a manager's house and a pool and a hot tub. So I'm like, I'm going to move him down and I'll fly him in. He'll stay in that house. I'll take care of him, especially if he'll help me with the property. So I moved him down. He relocated. Okay. I moved him down, relocated, gave him the dream about what was going to happen here. And then put in my money, for inspections, everything. And then I have the lender tell me what's my skin in the game. And I'm like, man, you will see.
Right.
So then extended it twice. And the seller had already gone under contract on a home he absolutely wanted to have. So he was like, if I don't sell this property, if I don't get this property, I'm not going to sell this RV park. And so I was like, well, listen, we've got enough cash to get you that house.
Right.
In escrow, you just need to get it. You just need to do it on my terms, on seller finance. So that's what happened. So he took the seller finance, gave him the cash so that he can get his home. And now we have 100% seller financed RV park in Florida, where I did raise the $420,000 to acquire that.
420. That's a great number. Ashley. So Ashley, I love that you told that story because so many people would have given up. So many people would have said, my hard money lender fell through. This has happened to me personally. And I was devastated. We had put so much money into this one property and they backed out literally at 9 p.m. for a 10 a.m. Closing, FYI. So I have been in that situation and it's a great lesson for the listeners to not give up. There are so many people who want to invest in real estate and sometimes you just got to be the squeaky wheel and keep pushing. And I love that. I have a couple more questions on the RV park stuff. So first of all, how much money can you make from an RV park? So a person is coming to stay 2 weeks. What do you charge them?
So you are definitely going to get capped out at a certain dollar amount in the RV space. It's not like a hotel. You're not staying at the Ritz-Carlton. Okay. However, there are some fancy RV resorts. Just, those are the one in the millions. So an RV park, a nightly rate, you're looking at, on the low end, probably like $40 a night to a high end for just the site. $80, maybe even to $100, depending on the amenities. And all of this is going to factor into the stay. I'm going to come here, park my RV, and then what am I going to get here for the stay? For you charging me as much as you're going to charge me. You got to have like gravel sites and, really nice hookups and maybe a table to even get to that higher end to charge for a nightly rate. If you're, going to have maybe a dirt site and not as many as cool amenities as some of these others, then you're going to be likely on the lower end. But that'll be all for you to figure out, in your research to determine what other parks in the area are charging. So the cool thing is about the RV parks is that you can add alternate stays to increase your revenue. So you have the tiny cabins, you can have the yurts, you can have all of these cool new trends at the park for people to try that are fairly inexpensive as overhead and as an expense to get up. But you will have to consider maintenance. But for those types of sites, you can charge for, a nightly rate. You can get in the $150s, $200, $250 for charging for these alternate stays. And then, what is the most fascinating thing about the RV space is the fact that it is low overhead. You technically don't have to get super fancy with your hospitality. There are literal RV parks that just operate like a parking garage. Okay. And so the ROI on that is going to be much higher than what if you have staff on hand. You're trying to maybe offer a little bit of an experience to the guests. Nice material. It's going to be a little bit on the higher end. I always say to account for like 30 to 40% of your gross revenue to go towards expenses. A really optimized operation can get down to the 30% because you really don't need that much. You really don't need that much.
I
Cut the
love
grass.
this. I like the whole overhead thing. So I'm really deep into short-term rentals, and the overhead, everything of the sort, the safety concerns, everything. So by you saying it's like parking in a parking garage, I actually would love to buy a parking garage because of the overhead expense. Like, come along. So listeners, send me parking garages if you find them. But so exactly. What are other ways to increase your profits? So, like, do RV parks have, dog runs? Do they provide laundry services? Like, what are some other ways for you to increase profits on site at an RV park?
So I'm going to give you one of the obvious, and I'm going to give you the obvious ways that I think people may know a lot about. Because it just will, when you mention it, it's like, oh yeah, duh, do that, yeah. But then I think there's another back end. There's another back end to think about that really pulls in some revenue. But the front end of this, the obvious routes are, the dog park, the children's park, the vending machines, the wash your dog, area, and you can charge for that. Laundry, events. Events are cool, but that requires some thought behind. So those are the obvious things on the front end, some things that are just will bring appeal to the park, make it easier, these amenities, even setting up relationships with the local organization. So what we did is we have a ranch right up the road that offers horseback riding. We have a winery. We have a airboat tour called Wild Bills. So you create this connection. They book with you. You make the extra little service fee on top of booking for them. And so that will also, increase revenue without you actually having to have the activities on site. Just by booking directly with you, you can, maybe add a little bit of extra revenue through that way. The back end, not really thought about, especially with RV park owners, when you look for something that's existing, is they don't have a solid back end as far as their website. Just putting up your name onto Google My Business so that people can find you is going to just bring in some extra, stragglers who are like, yeah, I just Google searched RV park and your name came up, websites, automations, us being able, we just now are setting up like just the welcome and the come back and the, leave us a review and we'll give you this off your next stay. That is a real tremendous moneymaker because once you start getting your online presence, now you're blasting yourself and you can do it organically to the nation for free,
This is so cool. I am really, really enjoying this. My last question on RVs, and because I'm just prepping myself because I told you one of my goals is to own Artie, the RV. I actually want to drive Artie to Canada. I'm in North Carolina, so that's going to be quite a feat, but I got to start thinking ahead for these things. So is there a girlfriend of mine owns an RV and she travels around and she talks about this one park that there is a membership fee to. So is that common for there to be, say, a group of parks that you only deal with like XYZ parks and you have a membership and then you can stay at any of them? Is that a thing? I just feel like that's something we need to tap into if it's not a thing. So
it is a strategy.
Okay.
So it is something to tap into for you to think, especially if you have the desire to acquire more than one. You can even do it for an existing park, require a membership, but the membership is to what? To just come here. It could be maybe at a discounted rate, but usually membership is to come here and use my amenities, and you will always have availability no matter what.
Which could get tough.
Yeah, for one. Usually, though, the memberships are going to be on like, a franchised group of RV park buyers, and it's a different strategy for sure.
So I lied. I do have one more question. So our mutual friend who introduced us is my dear friend, LaDonna Smith, who is fabulous. And she just came and stayed with me. In fact, we had a very drunken girls panel, women's panel. Involves champagne, if you know LaDonna.
Love it. Yep.
So she was pushing us towards our end of the year goals. And I do see that it's one of your bullet points on here. So what is your goal as a true LaDonna friend? Because she's a pusher to make sure people get towards their goals. But what is your goal by the end of the year?
So my goal for the end of the year, I have a couple of goals. The one related to the RV park specifically that I am in the process of getting it to stabilization is to refinance out by the end of this year. That is going to be a good win for me because I do have those private investors that are in on that deal. And I would love to just come out on time, on schedule, pay them back, refinance out the way
Does that happen on time and on schedule? Does that really happen? I'm just kidding.
It can. Damn it. We're going to work real hard towards it. So that's my goal for the park. And then my personal goal is I want to continue to help people get invested, not think of this as like a really hard thing. And I know that it is for so many people who have not gotten invested yet and are on the fence of thinking about it. So that's been fun for me because I've spent a lot of money. I spent a lot of time, and I do just want to, help people shorten that time. And I know that I can when I give them all these little secrets.
So do you have a coaching program?
I do. I'm launching one. I'm launching one on the 29th of July.
Nice.
For 6 weeks. For 6 weeks. It'll be like a little bit of a hand-holding session. So I am very excited.
This is getting released after the 29th of July, but I'm sure you'll have other ones after that. So how would the listeners find you if they want to hear about future courses that you're doing? Instagram. We are doing our YouTube and try to get to posting to LinkedIn so everybody can kind of find in all the channels. But right now, Instagram's pretty active. I share my personal life, but that's also where business is being done as far as communicating about RV parks, helping people with RV parks. I've got the links set up there at Ashley Perez Invests. At Ashley Perez Invests on Instagram. Definitely check it out. We are going to move into the second part of the podcast here, which is what makes Ashley Perez a badass, which clearly you are. And we are going to use the acronym BADASS. And the first letter is B for book. What's a book that's made a huge difference in your life?
So I gave you two because there is an Ashley that is different now than what was 4 years ago for the person starting out. So the person that's starting out, to add to the badassery, I had to name David Goggins because I am an individual that is motivated a few different ways, and one of them is competition. And so his book, Can't Hurt Me, just like really sparked that competition in me to get going. So like self-motivating, I'm an athlete. So having a coach in my life, especially, in my early years, was really important. And then when you lose that like security of having that coach and you have to rely on yourself, you're like, what do I do now? So when I found that in that book, it really was a game changer for me. And then the Ashley now, who's I feel much different than where she was 4 years ago, and on a different level. I really am proud of myself and grateful for what I have been able to do. But one thing is that we all come to a place where we need another reminder and that extra push. And so the book lately has been Think and Grow Rich. And I make it a joke because everybody has this book. And I've had this book for so many years, but it's like Jumanji. Okay. Yeah.
I have the book as well.
It has to call you. It has to call you. Okay. If you get to the book and it hasn't like thumped at you yet, you're not going to read it. And
Jumanji. You would crack and thump at you.
Yeah. And you're like, oh my God. And then once you start reading it, it's like, okay, now you have to finish. And so
I fight you on that because I've started it probably 3 or 4 times. And he had the deaf son, correct? Was this the right book?
Yeah. Is that where you got
I've read
to?
it like 3 or 4 times already. It's so bad.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I'm telling you. So, if you can, you got to restart, But if you finish, it's been extremely helpful where I'm at in my journey. I've gone through a couple of things in such a short time that being reminded of where I need to keep my mind at has really been important for me.
That's huge. I love that. What sport did you play, by the way?
I love softball. I played softball that competitively, and then I also played volleyball.
Nice. Very nice. I played in a softball league in Hollywood, Florida, actually. Isn't that where you're from? Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah.
We caught ourselves.
But I played softball in Pembroke Pines.
Oh.
So, yeah.
We caught ourselves the swingers.
Oh, that's cool. I love it.
I just joined to drink beer. All right. So the first A in Badass is for advice. You've given us some excellent advice. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Did I answer that question? Oh my God, I have to make sure.
You did. You wrote.
Okay, wait, here it is. Yeah, I want to make sure I give.
It's a great piece of advice too.
Yeah. So this advice that I gave, I thought about these. You really asked great questions. Okay. So the best piece of advice I've ever been given was the more mistakes you make today, the less you'll make tomorrow, is from my dad. As my dad early, what I remember of my early childhood and my early stages of learning, like my dad, he would make me write my handwriting. And if I missed a letter the wrong way and it curved, he would crumble up my sheet of paper and make me start again. Now that's like the extreme version of the more mistakes you make today, the less you'll make tomorrow, because I was not going to make that mistake again. But as you continue to go on in life, I think now what that means, and I'm, so grateful to know that you're going to get better. So whatever mistake you made today is obviously not going to be the same one you'll make tomorrow, because that hurt and you won't make that mistake again today. But we have to keep remembering that we do have to make mistakes in order for us to make less ones. And so it's important that we just, continue to try on and feel good about the fact that you'll likely not make that mistake again.
So true. And excellent advice. Thank you, Dad, for that advice, because you learn from your mistakes. It's important to make them, but then there's also get a coach who's maybe made those mistakes. So there's a little less risk there for that. So wonderful, Ashley. Very, very good. So the D in Badass is for drive. What drives Ashley to be successful?
So I know I deserve great things. I can sometimes feel some things that I deserve when I'm just like looking at it or I'm being exposed to it. And although it may not be mine, it almost feels like this should be mine. It's what I want. And so I know I have to work really hard for that. And then when I think about my children and, what I would like to give to them, and outside of my children, my extended family, my parents and where they're at and how I want to take care of them and how I want to see, our life kind of, playing off in the distance. just all of them. And then even for other people too, it just really, really continued to drive because I do manage other businesses. It's really important that I make them successful because they're believing and trusting in me. So, it's a full wheel. It's a full wheel for me.
Huge.
Yeah.
Very good. By the way, speaking of driving, do you own an RV?
Not yet. I've been trying to. We almost literally just moved into one to be at the park. But my husband doesn't really like long drives. I'm a driver. I love driving. But he's not. So it's going to be finding the right one that's going to sell him.
Yes, my husband loves driving. So he's like, are you going to just be sleeping in the back when we have the RV? I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm going to be driving that RV. So what do you mean? All right. The second A in badass is for aspiration. I'm a big goal setter. So what is a goal you are currently working on?
Well, I'm working on climbing my Mount Everest. My chief aim is pretty big. It's definitely like choking the air out of you when you think about it. And I do want to be a billionaire as my title. I don't necessarily have to have all the billions of cash, but if I can have $1 billion of assets under management, that would be really cool for me. And I know I have to start though, I have to get to even base camp. So, I can't walk. You just can't go from there, all the way up. And you even have to train before you even get to base camp. So, having others, join me on this journey is, I know, super powerful. So making sure that I keep a good group around me. I'm helping the right people. I would like to acquire more parks. So that's why I've been actively building out the acquisitions part, because that's going to keep my deal flow coming. And I don't see myself ending in RV parks. I see myself moving into other bigger asset classes. And so I'll need to have that system flowing so that we can just turn that on when we're ready to acquire others. Build a good brand out of those RV parks, where people enjoy coming to, and setting up a good business behind that to help others, do the same in other places. And then, having that be my base camp getting to base camp and setting that up is my current goal. Let me just get to base camp.
Well, I don't see anything stopping you. So this is going to be fantastic. All right. You mentioned systems, and that's the first S in badass. And so what systems do you have in place to help you achieve success?
Yeah, I didn't know whether or not you wanted me to answer this in the way of practical systems. Because
anything's a system, anything.
Yeah. Yeah. So this really landed hard for me yesterday. And the reason why I put people first and then I made it an acronym as your pet. Treat success like your pet, you would love, if you love your pet, you love success. Okay. And
yes.
So you put people first because, and this hit me hard yesterday because I do have, some major high priority issues that need to be handled in the solar company where my attention is. And then some things happened over here in the RV business that we're building out, and just having those things being taken care of for me while I was doing that helps me achieve success. So having the right people in place is super important. Not being afraid to bring on people and work with people and partner with people. I know that those are hurdles for people to get over because sometimes people don't have the experience of training people. Some people don't like to work with other people, but it's really important you can get past this part because it definitely will help you get to, a really high level of success. And then, another system to put in place is education, never stopping school. Although I joke about I had 3 credits of college left, I still enjoyed I understood the process of school. Maybe I don't necessarily love everything about school, but it instills, really good skills in you that you have to continue to work on, especially if you want to get good at something else or be invested in something else. You have to spend time educating yourself. And then the training part is the practicality of it, putting that into action, like that's how you achieve success, is go out there and train yourself of doing that thing, or else you'll never, get to a real level of success for yourself. So treat success like a pet.
I love it. Pet. That would be a LaDonna-ism right there.
Yeah, she would love it.
She would absolutely love it. All right. Yeah. So Ashley, I could talk to you all day, but to wrap this up, the final S in badass is success. What does success mean to you?
Success means getting through problems and then accomplishing that goal of the problem you solved. Like you said, you love the fact that I continue to push through that problem. That was a major problem 3 days before closing my first RV park. Okay. The lender who literally shook my hand at the park, looked me in my eyes and told me, this is a great deal. We're going to do business with you. And then just 3 days before closing, with me being as honest as I was and transparent, because some people don't share that they're bringing on a second lien holder. Like, exactly. Now I know. But me just being open and honest, right? That was a major problem. And, success comes in all different shapes and forms and levels and big and small. So it's not just one level of success. It's all these little wins that you have to share. And that comes through solving those problems.
Huge. And I just want a quick little side note for the listeners here, because this is very important with the whole hard money lenders not allowing second positions. It's very common now. And when you are having that initial conversation with them, you would say, hey, do you allow second positions? And they'll say, no, we want you to have some skin in the game. And then my response is typically, well, it looks like you're not going to be a good fit for me because I have several private money lenders where I've got to park their money somewhere. So thank you for your time. Have a great day. And they're like, well, hold on. Let's figure something out. So those are the ones you want to deal with. And I think it's horrible that they shook your hand and went with it and then backed out the last minute, but you still made it work and get it to the finish line, which is what most of this business is getting the deals to the finish line. It's a struggle every day. So Ashley, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on the show today. And the best way for people to find you one more time is through Instagram, and it is
at Ashley Perez Invests
on Instagram. And this has been amazing. Thank you for teaching me about RV parks. I haven't had anyone with RV parks, and I will be a frequent visitor to RV parks in the future. So I hope to someday stop at one of yours when I'm out there driving Artie and Vance is sleeping in the back. How about that? So
yeah.
And thank you. Your boys did such a great job during this interview too. So make sure you thank them. They were excellent, very well behaved. That's so good. So Ashley, thank you for being here today.
Thanks, Jen. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And that is all. Thank you for listening. And we will catch you on the next episode. Now go out there and share your badassery. And don't forget, make it a great day. Take care. Bye-bye. Whoop, whoop.
Thank you for listening to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. If you need more badassery, you can follow Jen Josie by visiting therealjenjosie.com or become a member of RAIN by registering on rainmastermind.com.